Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really happy to introduce you to my guest today, Sue FERREIRA of Wisdom to Wealth Mastery, where she shows you how to craft your wisdom into long-lasting wealth using all the tools of new marketing with a focus on video. Sue's goal is to help you generate passive income to allow you to live with financial freedom and peace of mind until you're 100 years of age or older, which, as you all know, is increasingly likely to happen. Welcome, Sue.
Welcome. Thank you, Tammy, very much for that lovely introduction. And I'm just honored to be here, and I'm looking forward to our chat very much.
Thank you. I'm really excited to talk to you because, just to let everyone know, I met Sue maybe, 5 or 6 years ago in San Diego, where she was actually the avatar for Mike Koenigs, who is a well-known online marketer and success mentor, I would say. And she just exuded this presence that it was like, wow, I want to be like her someday. And I'm so happy that she's here to share her wisdom to wealth mastery with you. So before we get into my question, Sue, go ahead and tell me, how did you get here from wherever you were even a few years ago?
Well, first of all, I have to say there is nobody on this planet more surprised than me that I'm talking to you and with you today. Because I had absolutely, if you look down life path and you'll find out I'm a terrible futurist. I'm always thinking in the future. This wasn't even on my radar. This was not even in left field. This was not where I was going. Because most of my life, I've been a physician, an anesthesiologist, and you can tell I'm a Brit, but I've been living in Canada 40 years. In a couple of months, it'll be my 40th anniversary here. And I've practiced all my life as an anesthesiologist. And, you go down that path in life. And then when I was 60, I had one of those life-changing events where after about 36 years of marriage, I went through one of those really sadly and increasingly common gray divorces. So, I'm still an anesthesiologist, but all of a sudden I'm looking at a different future. And that was in 2007. And in 2008 came the financial crash. I mean, we all remember that, right? And the combination of my having to go through my divorce, and I knew how much other women were going through the same thing later in life, plus the financial crash, I just had this, if you talk about a St. Paul on the road to Damascus moment where suddenly I had, I don't know what you call it, probably a vision, where I just saw and felt everybody who was going to be ruined by this financial collapse. And we know what happened. People lost businesses, they lost homes, they lost all their savings. And I just had this terribly sick feeling about them and how were they ever going to recover? When I'm having this sick feeling, this little voice says to me, well, you've brought your life back on track. You can do this for others. And I said, yeah, right. But a few hours later, I thought, yeah, I can do this. And that's when my moment shifted. And I shifted from medicine, but I took with me a lot of what I'd learned in medicine. And I started on this path of being an entrepreneur, starting at 60. And now I'm 69 and I've learned a huge amount. And I am in a position where I can help people get their lives back together and create this passive income to live to be 100 or older. And I'm not kidding, because that's what I bought from my years in medicine, is knowing that we're going to live a very long time, as long as we don't do something stupid, like we can do, like war, or we do something, we get an asteroid hitting us. But, I have seen this longevity over 50 years in medicine, and it's been amazing. So that's where I want to take you, to make you have a slap up 100th birthday party.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. You actually told me there was an exact instant, a moment in time when this hit you and your life transformed. Can you share that?
Yeah, that was my kind of Paul on the road to Damascus moment. I mean, I was, as I say, I was still an anesthesiologist then, and I was practicing Victoria, British Columbia on Vancouver Island, where I live. And it was 3:30 in the afternoon with a shift change. And so I was waiting for my next patient to come. And I was in the coffee room and I was watching the US Congress turn down the Troubled Asset Relief Program. I don't know if anyone remembers the TARP program now, but it was the program designed to get the world going again after the crash. I mean, it wasn't a great program, but it was something. And when the US Congress turned it down, that's when this sick feeling came over me that I described. First for me, because I was really angry because you knew the markets were just going to go to hell in a hay basket after that. But then, as I say, I was standing on a cliff. I literally, my brain brought up this picture of me standing on a cliff. I actually get emotional talking about it even now, and seeing people in the valley as far as the eye could see. And I just, I thought all these good, honest people are going to have their lives wrecked in some way and their futures wrecked. And that was the moment when that little thing on my left-hand shoulder said, well, you can create a program to do this. And when, a few hours later, I thought, yeah, actually I could. And that was the moment. And it was a very emotional moment. And I think if you look at people who suddenly something happens to them and it creates a passion, it comes from that deep emotional moment. And hey, like I said, I'm no one. I'm pretty, cut and dried as a physician for years in the OR, and it was a hugely emotional moment, and that's when my life changed.
What I think is so interesting about your story is the fact that you were in the medical field and that you were an anesthesiologist, and now you are helping people with their wealth and their finances, and you started out thinking about baby boomers, but recently you've actually changed your focus and really narrowed it down to a more specific group of people. Can you tell me more about that transition from the baby boomer generation to the people you're focusing on now?
Yeah, and it's been a fascinating journey. I mean, man, talk about steep learning curves and ups and downs. But I think I had never been an entrepreneur. And here I am, like 61 at that stage. And I want to do this thing. And I think most people, when they first want to be an entrepreneur and this passion is coming from their heart, they want to solve the world's crisis and they want to help everyone. And so initially I did focus on there's over 110 million baby boomers in the Western world, because, this isn't just the US. This involves Canada, England, US, Australia, New Zealand. But I tried to take my message out of how they could rebuild their wealth by going online. But I didn't find a responsive audience. And I found that their mindset, I think if you don't have a burning passion, and I didn't know I was an entrepreneur and suddenly found out that I was, that if you don't have that burning passion to go it alone, it's very difficult to have people change. And they were really not willing to change. But I found that while I was doing my Live Your Retirement Dream program, people, younger women, were coming to me, business women, because my message resonated with them. And I am very techie. I love everything tech, which is kind of weird also. I'm the nerd and the geek, and I accept that. So I just started narrowing down and focusing on business women who already have good businesses, but are basically spending their life doing one-on-one coaching or one-on-one services, or maybe one to a few, doing workshops, going around 10, 20 people. And I knew they had the potential, again, from the stuff that you and I learned, Tammy, with Mike Koenig's and his crew, to go out online and just take what they're doing on the one-to-one, one to a few, and go out one to the world and boost their business and income. And video is without doubt the best way to do it. And that's where I started narrowing down, focusing on business women and focusing on video as the first step to move out to create that passive income.
So you're using with your new system, and it's the wisdom to wealth mastery, right?
Yeah.
and you're talking about using video. Let's talk about video marketing, because I firmly believe that everyone's core for marketing should actually be video, because you can multi-purpose it in so many different ways. So what are some of the reasons that people aren't using video, or they don't see how powerful video is?
That's a really good question, Tammy. And I think there are several reasons. I think the first one, which is the biggest reason I find, is that folks don't realize that marketing's changed. They think things, because we're at this stage of disruptive technologies and exponential growth. And I think we're living in the most exciting time. I can't imagine a better time. And your history is my thing too. So I think as we look back, this time will be so fascinating and explosive in our history. Make the Renaissance and the Age of Enlightenment look like little pimple dots on any kind of graph. And I think most folks don't appreciate what has happened in marketing itself. And if you look back, we've got, let's think about it. Facebook arrived in 2005, then YouTube in 2006, and the iPhone didn't appear to 2007. So at the time we're recording this is what, 10 years on average ago. And these three have totally revolutionized marketing. And I think this tsunami has gone under most people because it's been really a very quiet revolution. So that's the first reason, is I think marketing has changed totally. The second reason, I think, is public speaking. We've always known to be very powerful. And today, as far as I'm concerned, public speaking is video. There is no difference between it. So if you go out and you talk in front of a class, or you teach anything, or you speak about anything, where's your video doing the same thing? So public speaking and video have become the same thing. And the other reason that I think is that shows how powerful video has become is that since those three got together and changed marketing, now at the moment, all the total web content is 75% video and rising. I mean, in 10 years, we've gone from having no YouTube to having over 300 hours uploaded, I think I can't remember, minute or hour, but it's something incredible. And with that, I think, everything has truly changed. You've got 75% of all web traffic is video. We know it's been shown over and over again to be the most powerful way to get your message out. And yet only 9% of US small businesses are using video. And I bet if you split that down into women who are using video, it's going to be less than 9%. So here's this massive tool and market waiting for you, and hardly anyone's using it. And to me, that is, hey guys, how much money are you leaving on the table?
Right. You're absolutely right. And I think for me and probably you too, because we have been participating with video for what, the past 7-8 years, probably. Yeah. So to us, we just automatically say, yeah, video is cool. But what do you find are some of the reasons why women are not using video? What do they tell you?
I think the first one is they're not aware of its power. But the second thing I get over and over and over again is when I suggest it, and it's that woman thing, I don't like being on video. Oh, I'll have to use £10 before I do anything on video. I'm far too fat, or I don't like the way I look, or my hair's not right. And we all do it. Even I still do it. I mean, I can look at myself and say, oh my God, there's that old Brit going on again. And I do. But you just got to get over it and say, look, this is an incredibly powerful way to get my message out. Do it anyway. And if people don't like me, they won't respond. And so that's one, is people don't like being on video. And the second huge one is tech scares them rigid. And I understand that, because when this all came up, and you know this too, Tammy, tech was a lot more complicated even 5 or 6 years ago. But we've lived in this world now for several years, and we know how simple it's become. So once I start showing folks that, and I haven't actually got my iPhone here, which is terrible, but to me, to call an iPhone is a total insult, because as Mike Koenig says, it's basically an HD TV studio that you carry around in your purse. And that's the way you get out to the world. And but most folks don't know how to do it. And in fact, I'm creating a product right now called Purse Power, which shows you A to Z how to push the button, stop the button, upload, distribute, and everything else, so people can use their smartphones, Android or iPhone, and get their message out to the world. So I think those are the big ones. Yeah.
That's really phenomenal.
Yeah, I just think it's really needed. And I know it's needed because I have people asking me for it. When's it coming? When's it coming? So I've taken time off next week to finish it. It's half done, but you get busy. And now I've just got to finish it.
Well, I think Purse Power, that sounds like a really excellent tool. I know that I do not use my smartphone to its full capacity. And I also have an iPad, and I know I'm not using that to its capacity. And so I can imagine that if someone who is tech savvy isn't using it to the capacity, just think about the people who are a little bit afraid of tech. And like you said, if only 9% of U.S. businesses are using video, and of course the women-owned businesses are another percentage, the market is just wide open. Another thing that I wanted to ask you about is about the stories we tell. It seems like a lot of people, what stops them from using video, not only is it the fear of being on camera. Like me, I like to have makeup on when I'm on camera, but I do still use my clunky headphones because I like to. There's something about being able to really hear and the interview, with the headset, even though you look a little dorky. But at the same time, people go, oh, wow, that's kind of cool, because there is a perception when you have the headphones on and the microphone that, that is kind of cool. But the story, like there's parts of my story that I think would be very powerful and actually help other people, but I'm not ready yet to share those. So how do you help people tell their story on video?
And this came out of about last September. My biz partner and I, who does a huge amount of events, she's an events person and I'm the techie person. And we started, because she hadn't done tech before, I said, it's okay, let's get together and we will interview all of your speakers on your stage, because she helps wannabe speakers get on the stage as well as using people who are very experienced. And we started interviewing her folks who have businesses and who want to speak on stage. And very rapidly, I realized these lovely ladies, these beautiful ladies with hearts of gold, huge hearts centered, with good stuff to offer the world, didn't know the story. And because they didn't know their story, and when I say didn't know their story, really the classic speak to sell story. They didn't know how to stand up and deliver a compelling story about themselves and the benefits of working for them, and then sliding into a pitch and having convert people to coming to work with them. And I really saw that like over and over again. And I wasn't really thinking about story until that point. I know it's very trendy and everything else, but it came home to me so forcefully, Tammy, like, again, these lovely women are leaving money on the table because they don't truly know how to tell their story. So I went back and I sat down through last fall and I really thought hard about how I could maximize, how I could get them to tell their story and then get them to maximize the power of sending it out. And I created initially my program is called Video Signature Suite. I start with helping them create their story and I video them doing it, because that gets them over the fear of video, right? Once you get on this kind of video chat, folks' fear is gone in a few minutes. And I've seen it over and over again. They'll come on anxious and they're all tight like this. And then I start chatting and then their shoulders go down. And my partner and I, when we're doing it, we wink because we know we've got them. And then they come forward and become animated. And once they do that, you get the true heart. So I get them to do that. I get them to create their story and present it to me in a convincing way. Then I video it, or I do it in an interview style like we're doing right now. Then they get the video. I take the audio off and I give them audio. So now they've got podcasts. I get the the audio transcribed into text. So now they've got articles. And then I take that whole 1 hour and I convert it into an ebook on Kindle. And I also give them a physical book from Create Space. So they now have, from that one story and that 1 hour of video, they've got the video, they've got podcasts, they've got articles, and they've got books. And that's really pretty powerful telling the story. By the time, I won't actually video it until I know you are so clear with what you're offering that it basically sets up your whole business. And I really do think if you don't know that story and you can't tell it, you're going to have you're not going to maximize all of your offers and maximize the number of people who will come to work with you and therefore your income.
I think that's phenomenal. What I really admire is like you said, you started out and you've grown because you saw that your audience was too broad with the baby boomers. And then you actually realized that you had women who were resonating with your story, which actually really tells you that it isn't about age at all. It's really about like where you are at a certain point in your life. And so age really doesn't matter. It's more about like you said, where you are in your heart and where you are in your life moving forward. But what I really like is that you help them create the story so that they have something that helps them to create a real business. And then you give them all the tools of the content that actually helps to make them an authority and an influencer. So then they have the influence, the impact, and that leads to more income. Yeah. So that's just a phenomenal offering that you've created. Now, when you do these videos and the video training, are these now live events? Are you doing it online? How are you providing this training?
Well, if folks sign up for my video signature suite, then initially they get a package of information like how do we get to your signature story, right? And there's two parts to that. First is the core story, which is, I was born on such and such a date, I grew up. And I get people to write that out initially because I actually ask them to say, okay, at that point in your life, how are you feeling? And this in itself is powerful because, they think they know it when it's in their head, but there is this phrase that your story doesn't exist until it's written down. And that is a real truth. And so the actual process, I call it brain dumping, right? If you brain dump it in some way in writing, or if folks are local, or online, I will just video it. If you're not a good writer and you can say it, it doesn't matter. We video it. We get that stuff out of you. And from that core story, you begin to realize most folks say, I never thought that was important in my life before, but now I know it is. So once we've got the core story, we take that story and we meld it into the business. And there is always, it has to be because we're all unique. So we all have this story that flows, but it's then taking that core story and morphing it to be a beautiful package of this is why I do what I do. And this is how I can help you. And then we craft that core story into the signature story, the selling story. And then that's the point at which we say, okay, let's video it. And I video it online through Zoom. Actually, I don't use Skype. I use Zoom, which I find a more stable platform with better video. Oh, okay. And then we go from there. Then once I've got the 1 hour video, they're done. And these business women, video is, they're not familiar with it. And B, they're busy. Excuse me. So once we've got this core story, it's very efficient. They don't have to do anything else. They don't have to create articles again, and they don't have to write the book separately. It all flows from the 1 hour of video because, as you said at the beginning, Tammy, video is so powerful because you can repurpose it in so many ways.
I love video. I think it should be the core of everyone's existence in their business because, like what you said, you can use it for so many different things. So you help people get comfortable on video, take away their fears, and then you spend an hour, you help them with their signature story, then you make the video, And what about the technical aspects, like their websites, their YouTube channels? What do you do about that?
Well, when I first start talking with a client, I there's always a like, where are they? Where are they right now? If they've got a good signature story and it's convincing, well, we can run through. I mean, it's going to take me a lot. It's not going to take me nearly as long to create the video of it and do that. But then the challenge comes along with, what we were discussing earlier about this revolution in web marketing. Websites have revolutionized as well. And now your website is not the old brochure, most websites are just, this is what I do, and it's a static page. But in the last few years, with the advent of video, websites have become basically you on the web. So they've become a reflection of you. So video now is, to me, totally mandatory on your website in several different ways, and also out into your social media. So if they've got their story done, but they've still got one of these brochure websites that, or isn't even mobile friendly, then I help them move into creating a website that is really a reflection of them, an extension of them. And I do that by helping you set up YouTube channels, which a lot of folks don't know how to set up a YouTube properly so it works properly for you. And I help you SEO, search engine optimize all your videos, and then show you how to video blog and how to, in fact, I've just done a webinar, 10 easy ways to boost your business and income with video. And that's up now as an ever webinar. So if anyone wants to watch it, I've got the link. And so, I just help you fine tune and build out your presence on the web once you've got the story and you know what you're doing. And often so many of the points that come out from your signature story naturally become your first videos on your website and your blogs, because it gives you the pathway of who you are and what you offer.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I see a lot of mistakes made on video channels. And I actually found one of my old channels that I didn't even remember I had. And I saw the big gray box. And it was like, Tammy, you've got to go and make sure that every video channel that you have out there is got something on it and that it's optimized properly. Yeah. So, that's one of the things. I just found this, I think it was last night, and I was shocked that I actually had a channel out there with a gray box because I'd forgotten about it. So one of the things, do you have any stories about people who have made this transformation from being a technophobe to embracing it and then saying, "Oh, I did it"?
Yeah, I've got quite a few. In fact, if you really want to know what gets me up in the morning, it's those stories, because I have one client, and this is my funniest one, but she was a corporate refugee. And I tell you, as folks get into their 50s, there's a lot of corporate refugees out there who want to do exactly what I want to help them to do, is, move into a different world for their later years. And she was a corporate refugee, but it was kind of like a disowned self story. She was an extraordinarily creative glass artist, and she had her studio, and they've got a beautiful place not far from me. She had her studio and her glass artists, just beautiful stuff. But because after 2001, their business got hit in Canada because folks weren't coming up from the States, she had to put that away, and she went back to the corporate world, and it killed her soul. Okay. So she took the big leap and came out and wanted to get her glassworks going again. And I mean, tech terrified, that doesn't quite describe it. I mean, she's lovely. And she phoned me up saying, "I'm having a really big panic attack. I've got a really big brown paper bag I have to breathe into date because of my hyperventilation." And she really was tech terrified. She didn't. This was, this was February 2015, so about 16 months ago. She didn't know what a Facebook like was. She didn't know what Facebook was. She didn't know how to turn on a computer. She sort of knew how to do email on a PC, but she didn't really like that. So from that, in February 2015, in July 2015, we turned on her first iPad. That was a scary day for her. And then in September 2015, I get this email from her. I don't know. And she says, "Well, I've just uploaded my first video to YouTube. You know how I love to make these beautiful glass pendants, and I'm doing this story of women's transformation, their chrysalis moments. Well, here's my first chrysalis moment video interview, and I put it up on YouTube, and I'd really like you to critique it. And I just burst into hysterics of laughter, you know, and I just zapped back an email, said, not techie, huh? And she literally has gone from tech terrified to creating these beautiful videos based around her pendants. And it's got to the point now that people are coming to her wanting to tell their stories, and she will create a customized pendant for them. I mean, that is beautiful, isn't it? And that's all happened in 16 months.
Wow, that is really beautiful, because she's doing what she loves, and it was a transformation, just like what you said. It was like a butterfly transformation, and it all had to do with going from being somebody who didn't know how to use, you know, an iPad or a computer or even a like on Facebook in 2015. Think about that. She was really behind, and the transformation. And then it also proves that even if you didn't get started 5, 6 years ago or 10 years ago, it's not too late.
Oh, no.
So that's beautiful. That is a wonderful story. I really like that.
It's been a plan. We're ongoing, you know. I mean, she's just moving out into much bigger fields quickly, you know, public speaking about transformation and everything else. So it's just like she was willing, despite her incredible fear. And I mean, she knows I have her permission to give this story, because we roll around in hysterics about it. Now, remember the days I'd say, how big's your paper bag today? And, you know, and she was willing to step outside that fear, face it, and still confront it. And she still occasionally does, but it's not such big paper bags, and move forwards with it, you know. And to me, that's incredible courage. And I have a few more like that, but that's what gives me my juice. That's the beautiful thing.
Well, I just think that's really wonderful when you can help somebody make that transformation, and you're still there, you know, to share in that progress with them, to watch somebody grow and blossom. And like you said, you helped her overcome the fear of tech. You helped her with her signature story, and then she's transforming her entire business, and she's incorporating it with her art. So that is really a cool thing, because it just proves that you can integrate your story and your passion and create a real business.
I think, and I'll tell you, Tammy, one of the saddest, if you really want me to feel really sad, I can come across a woman who has unbelievable gifts and passions, but who can't take that step. For some reason or other, she hasn't. And it's a question of mindset, and mindset comes from personal development. So behind all of this is my belief of what I was doing initially is personal growth, because I do believe you need to get to a certain point in your personal growth before you can do this. But it saddens me immensely to see folks that I can see the potential. And in fact, a lot of people have said, you saw the potential way before I did. I say, yeah, I know, I can just see it. I know what you've got. My job is to take what you've got, what I know you have, and bring it out of you and make it available to everybody. And if you're prepared to take that step, I mean, so far I've been pretty good at it. And then they transform. I mean, that's the other lovely thing, is seeing people go from tech terrified or mindset terrified or video terrified and then blossom. It's been beautiful.
Well, that is, and just you, what I noticed about you is from the time I met you, you've blossomed, you've bloomed. Your light is just so huge. And the fact that you're helping all of these people in such a big worldly way, that is just phenomenal. And it's really encouraging and inspiring to know how far we all can go and become as leaders in the video marketing world and in the personal growth world. It's really an exciting thing. And I'm so happy that you joined me today. Thank you.
Absolutely my pleasure, Tammy. And it's just a pleasure knowing you too. So I'm just very blessed.
Great.
It's been an honor.
Before I let you go, can you tell me where we can find out more information about you?
Yeah, certainly. My website is wisdom2wealthmastery.com. And if you want to contact me by email, it is info@wisdom2wealthmastery.com. But honestly, I'd like to offer everybody an opportunity to sign up on my Facebook group where I answer techie questions, because this is my driver at the moment. And this has become incredibly powerful for me. So and that's easy again, it's facebook.com/groups/wisdom2wealth-mastery. And just go there, ask to join, and I will have you come into the group where we're answering any techie questions, any techie question you have. I have a group of friends, a lot of them, Tammy, who will come in and answer your tech questions. And of course, then everybody benefits. And that group is growing rapidly. So if you want to come in and join that group, I'd love to have you there.
Well, I will definitely put it into the show notes. And that is Wisdom to Wealth Mastery. If you can remember that, you can find Sue. Again, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Tammy, and have a wonderful day, everybody.
This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.